Then it will be collected. Give me some.
32.
40 more. Which ones?
32.
32. What's this called in the circle again? Chord. Somebody help me out with those numbers because I can't read them. What's the number here?
8 and 8.
8 and 8.
And then 6 on top and then X.
So both these are chords. We have two chords they intersect. Take these two parts times each other, and it should equal these two parts times each other. What's 8 times 8?
16. 64.
Somebody help me out with the calculator. It's not going to come out even. Round off to the nearest tenth.
10.7.
Everybody agree with that? Yes, no, maybe? Next question.
30.
30. About, I can see the 2 and the X, I can't see the other.
Oh, the smaller one, 3 and 6.
So tell me what to do here.
3 times 6 equals 18. So that equals 2x.
2 times X, that's 18.
And then divide by 2. So it should be x equals 9. 31.
I for sure can't read those numbers. I think that's an X there, and
Yeah, and then there's x on the right too. And then there's a dot in the middle. And then like,
that's the center of the circle, right?
yeah,
This part down here is 10,
yeah,
this is 8,
yep.
And then the line goes to.
it's 2. Let's do this one first, it's the easiest. What are we gonna multiply together there?
X and x.
So X times X, what is X times X?
Square.
Be careful.
It's X.
X squared. Now, on the other side, you gotta be careful, remember, you want part times part. What's
So
one of the parts?
2.
2's easy,
And
then
then 18.
how'd you get 18?
You add 8 and 10 because
It's that whole thing, right?
yeah,
Was 2 times 18.
36.
What do you do there?
And you take the square root of it.
Take the square root of both sides. Square root of 36.
6.
Next question.
33.
33. Can I do this without drawing the circle?
Yeah.
It's 2 of our parts.
3 and 6.
3 times 6 equals
18 or equals x plus 7.
so one part's X and the other part's X plus 7. Can I just put times X plus 7? Is that gonna work?
Yeah, technically.
What do you gotta do to this? Cause you wanna multiply that whole thing times X. You
Put in
would-
parentheses.
you gotta put it in parentheses. What is 3 times 6?
18.
Then we gotta distribute here. What's X times X?
X squared plus 7x.
Good. Now, anytime we have something like this where we have an X squared and a 7X, I think this might have been the only one on the whole paper that came out this way. You're gonna have to factor. It's a quadratic equation. You're either gonna have to factor or you're gonna have to use the quadratic formula. Somebody had the quadratic formula written down the other day and asked me, can I just use this? I said, well, that's fine, go right ahead. So if you remember the quadratic formula, use it. But when you factor, we gotta get everything on one side. How am I gonna move this 18 to the other side?
Subtract it.
It's not a like term with anything else in here. Watch this closely, guaranteed next test there'll be a couple of these on there. We get 0 on this side, x squared plus 7x minus 18 on the other side. If you don't like it written this way, move that 0 to the other side. It doesn't change anything. It might be more like what you are used to seeing. When I factor, I just do this. I think if you had Mrs. Barnes last year, you did a whole bunch of these puzzles or something she used, and it was like, I think it's something like this. It had numbers in there, and you had to figure out what numbers went in here to
Oh, yeah, yeah.
multiply together to give you this number, and add together to give you this number.
Yeah.
Does everybody remember those? I've never seen those before, so I didn't know. The way I do it is I just look at the first term. What's the, what times what will give you x squared?
X times X.
So that's what goes first. And then I find the factors of the last term, which is negative 18. Give me two numbers that multiply together, give us negative 18.
Negative 9 and 2.
Negative 9, positive 2, give me two more.
Negative 2, positive 9.
Negative 2, positive 9, give me two more.
Negative 18 and 1.
Negative 18, positive 1, so on, so on, so on, right? You want the two factors, there's more of them, but you want the two factors that multiply together, give you negative 18, and add together to give you positive 7. Any of these that we've got listed already, give us,
Negative 2 and 9.
so we stick in minus 2 plus 9. And to check it, we just multiply the outer, remember FOIL, does everybody remember FOIL from algebra?
Yeah.
First, outer, inner, last. What's x times 9 give you?
X or 9X.
9x. What's negative 2 times x give you?
Negative 2X.
9x minus 2x, does that give us a positive 7x?
Yes.
So it means it checks out, we did it correctly. Then all we do, we got these two things, and multiplied together, they give us 0. What would fit in here to make this first set of parentheses 0? What would x have to be to make that 0?
2.
2. That's one of our answers. What would x have to be here to make this one 0?
Negative 9.
When you're solving these, remember back to your algebra days, when you're solving them, what you're finding, or the graph of it is a parabola, and what you're finding is where that parabola crosses the x-axis. Well, this parabola crosses the x-axis at 2 and negative 9. Those are our two answers. Now we got to go back and make sure on our problem, when you're doing geometry and algebra, that would have been your answer. In geometry, you got to make sure that it makes sense. We go back and we look at, what problem are we doing? 33. If we made x2, and this is the one I should have drawn the picture for. If we made x2, does it make sense? What's that top segment if we made x2? What's this top part up here if we made x2?
2.
2. What's the bottom part down here if we made x2?
7.
2 plus, then the x plus 7, isn't that what it was? What's 2 plus 7? 9. Is it all right for that segment to be 2 and that segment to be 9?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now if we plug in negative 9, how long is this top segment? If x is negative 9. Negative
7.
Negative 9. Is it all right for that segment to be negative 9?
No.
You can't have a segment that's a negative length, right? So will negative 9 work?
No.
So what's our answer? Just the 2. The negative 9 won't work this time. Give me one more if it's a quick one.
Do 45 on the back.
Remember, that's the center point of the circle. What do you know about that segment I just drew? What's it to the circle? good. What's this segment that I'm starting to draw right now?
The tangent.
It's a tangent, touches it at one point, right? And it comes on over here and it goes back up here. And let's see, this is 5. This is that 15.
Yeah.
And this part's X. First thing, if this is 15, what do we know about this distance from here to here?
15.
That'd be 15, so I'm gonna stick that in there. How long is this whole segment right here?
30 or 35.
So I'm gonna draw something like that, and that's 35. If I drew this, and just stop that right there and didn't draw in this extra part right there, we know that this whole thing is 35. This part out here is 5, and sorry, mine, it's supposed to go through the center. That's an ugly circle with the center and not in the center. How long is this part inside here? 30. This is X. We had a rule that said this is a tangent, this is a secant. We had a rule that said you take the tangent squared, and that should equal the exterior part of the secant times the whole secant. What's the tangent this time? How long is the tangent?
X.
And we're gonna square that, so that's just gonna be x squared. What's the exterior part of the secant? What part of the secant is outside the circle? 5. Times, what's the whole secant? How long is it?
35.
Somebody help me out.
175.
175, everybody agree with that? Now what do you do?
Take the square root.
13.2.
13 point what? 2? Now they stuck in this other stuff over here and going to the center. Did we even need any of that? Why'd they stick that in there?
To confuse.
Exactly, confusion. All right, make sure your names are on those. You can stick them in the tray up there. While you're up, grab the notes. Rough day yesterday, Kendall. A rough morning. Start filling in this. These notes gonna be really, really short. Gonna make Keith really happy because right after we get done taking these notes, he's gonna take a big, long quiz. Is that gonna make you happy? I'm not worried about it. Because you're Keith and you know you just do spectacular on it. Is that why? Please make sure you're keeping your binders in line. Putting these notes where they belong each day. Because it's going to come down at the end of the year and it's going to sneak up on me like it always does. And I'm going to say, oh crap, your binders are due Friday. And Clifton, what I hope for at the end of the year. So it's probably like a Freudian thing. You know who Sigmund Freud was? He was a psychologist or psychiatrist, kind of one of those two. So Freudian, he says you don't ever do anything on accident. It's subconscious. So it may be a subconscious thing where I forget to tell you that it's due because I'm really, really hoping that about half of you don't turn in a binder and I can just write that nice grade in the grade book at the end of the year and I don't have to grade them, so I don't have to do that work. That's not a nice thing, but it's probably right. I probably sort of do it on purpose so that I don't have to grade a whole bunch of binders at the end of the year.
I don't blame you.
But, so make sure you're keeping them in line, that way you can't make Ebersole unhappy at the end of the year one last time and turn in a binder. Circle. A circle is a set of all points in a plane that are the same distance from a given point called the center point. This is your center point. The definition of a circle, if I put a point right here, I said all points in a plane that are the same distance from a given point. If I put a point right here, and I come out here and I put another point that's 7 units from that point, the definition of a circle is to find every point in this plane that's exactly 7 units from that point. And when I find all those points, what's it gonna end up making? A circle. If I could draw. Alright? When we name a circle, we went over this before, this is the symbol for a circle, and you name it using that center point, whatever that capital letter is. So this circle would be just circle P. We went over all this earlier, but we're going back over stuff now since the testing's over. I shoved a whole bunch of stuff at you there for the last couple of weeks, trying to make sure that you've seen everything, at least seen it before the test. Now we're going back over some of the stuff in a little more detail. Fill in what you need to fill in on this. Those 2 formulas there, 2 equations, you've only seen about 6,000 times in the last couple of weeks. Sean's arm falls off because he's written them too many times. Kylie J will write the rest of his notes for him for the day.
Let's go, Sean.
Do we need to go over these? Everybody know what a radius is? Where does a radius go from? From where to where?
The center to the outer.
Center to the edge. Where's the diameter?
Over there.
All the way across and through the,
Center.
if it doesn't say through the center point, it's not a diameter, because if it doesn't go through the center point, then it's just a what? A chord. What do we know about a diameter and a chord? Anybody remember that? Diameter is always what?
Half the radius.
That's true. Diameter or radius is half the diameter, and diameter is twice the radius. But as far as a chord goes, a diameter is the
Longest cord.
longest possible chord. Is a chord always a diameter? No. Is a diameter always a chord?
Yes.
Yes. A chord, the definition is it just goes from one edge to the other. Is the diameter always going to go from one edge to the other? Yeah. So a diameter is always a chord, but a chord doesn't have to be a diameter. Again, radius, diameter divided by 2, or diameter is radius times 2, or 2 times the radius. Something else I want you to write with this one. All circles are, anybody remember what that symbol means? Similar. All circles are similar. All circles are similar. For 2 circles to be congruent, they have to have the same radius. So for these two circles to be congruent, you have to know that this radius is 5 centimeters and this radius is 5 centimeters, then the two circles are congruent. Sort of common sense stuff there. So if I made another circle and it had a radius of 12 centimeters, it's not congruent with the other two.
That cookie ratatouille.
It's good, it doesn't taste good.
It tastes so good.
Concentric circles. Again, I can't draw very well. Any number of circles that all have the same center point. Looks like a bullseye. Looks like a target of some kind. And if you didn't find concentric circles on there, I think I had to split them up. It's on the back side of the page or something. So I figured you guys were intelligent enough to figure that out, so I ended it that way. Circumference. Circumference of the circle is distance around the circle. Two different formulas for circumference: diameter times pi, or 2 times radius times pi. Both same thing. Some of the homework today, they're going to ask you to give the circumference in terms of pi, and some of it's going to say give it to the nearest tenth or hundredth or whatever. So some of it you're going to want to use your calculator on, some of it you're not. So let's just do an example here. Somebody make up a radius for me for this circle.
6.
To what? So we said 2? 2, now give me units. 2 inches. So if that radius is 2 inches, if they just want it in terms of pi, then we could use either one of these formulas. It doesn't matter which one we use. If the radius is 2 inches, what's the diameter?
4.
So all you do, just plug in right here. What are you going to put in place of D?
4.
4. So it's just 4 times pi, and our units are just inches. That's in terms of pi. If they want it as a decimal, if they tell you to round it off to the nearest hundredth, let's say, that means 2 places out. Then you grab your calculator. Somebody grab their calculator for me. What's 4 times pi? And we want to go out 2 decimal places.
12.56.
And our units are inches. These two answers are the same. This is an exact answer. This is a rounded off answer. Sometimes you want the exact answer, sometimes you want the rounded off answer. It just depends on the problem. We did that on the first page of the last time's assignment, right? Just leave it in terms of pi. If they don't give you, if they don't specify, leave it in terms of pi. Make it easy on yourself. All right, what you gonna do for about the next, we'll go about 10, 15 minutes. So we'll go till about 8:20 probably. The paper that you picked up from up front here, the other worksheet, not the notes. You can probably figure that out right now. The other paper. This is the quiz, and it's due here in about 15 minutes. So if you go to sleep and you just don't do it, that's fine, and it'll just go down to 0. Another thing, clip that makes it easy for you to grade if it goes down to 0. The quiz is this. All of the problems on the front, not very difficult, and these 5 problems on the back. So that's your quiz. Do that. Got a neighbor there next to you. I don't mind if you ask your neighbor, I don't mind if you work together a little bit, you cannot ask me. So help each other a little bit and make sure you get the right answer. On the assignment, again, it's on there. If you want to write it down somewhere else, that's fine, whatever, it's on your notes though. Hold on. Maybe it's on your notes. Look on your notes. Did I mess up?
Yeah, no.
Does it have these?
Doesn't
It
have
doesn't.
44 and 46.
So do me a favor and add those to it. I can remember when, I knew I changed the PowerPoint a little bit, but I couldn't remember if I did it before or after I printed the notes. I don't care if these are in order or not. Again, you can do them right there in the book. I think a lot of these you could do right in the book. A lot of the problems earlier this year, I've not wanted you to do in the book because there wasn't room to work stuff out. But these, just an answer. So if you do it on the book page and next time when I come around and check it, you just have that out, that'll work. Or if I collect it, you can just rip out the page and turn it in. And I don't care if they're in order or not. Let's start with problem 17. Problem 17. What's it give us on problem 17?
C equals 40 inches.
40 inches?
Yeah.
What's the direction say?
Find the diameter and radius of a circle to the nearest hundredth with a given circumference.
So we're trying to find the diameter and the radius. We're using the formula, but we're using it backwards is all we're doing here. What's the formula for circumference of a circle? Look at your notes.
Radius, diameter times pi.
Diameter times pi. On all of those, like 17, I don't know how many of them are there, 3 or 4 or something. 5, 6, 5. All of them like this, all you're going to do, 6 of them. You know the circumference, they tell you the circumference, so in place of C right here, I'm going to put in 40. 40 equals diameter times pi. We don't know the diameter, we're trying to find the diameter. How can I get that diameter on the side by itself?
Plug it in.
But I don't know the diameter. This is a problem a lot of students have when they see this right here. Know that, is that a variable? No, that's just a number, right? But it's a symbol that stands for some certain number. So what if I gave you this? 40 equals diameter times 6. What would you do to both sides to get the d by itself?
Subtract 6.
Divide both sides by 6. If I'm multiplying d times pi here, what are you going to do to both sides to get the d by itself? Divide both sides by pi. So on your calculators, all you're going to do is take whatever circumference they give you and divide it by pi. And that's going to leave you with the diameter. How many places did they say they wanted us to go out? Hundredths place. So that's 2 places, right? 12.73. Anybody else agree with that?
Yes.
That's the diameter. That's one of your answers. How do you find the radius?
Half that.
Take half of that. So you take 12.73 divided by 2. That's the radius. So what's the radius this time?
6.37.
6.37. Everybody agree with that? So each time on each one of those problems, all you're going to do is you're going to take whatever circumference they give you and divide it by pi, and that gives you the diameter. Split that in half, and it tells you the radius. Everybody handle that? Look at problem 23 and 24. They sort of go together. And on that one, they give you a picture, don't they?
Yeah.
I hate drawing these pictures because I can't draw them very well.
I can draw.
Yeah, stepping into the ball.
Oh, jeez.
Stepping up the bad's handles at 117.
That is not a good circle.
Yeah, Ebersole, I think you drew it 10 times
Yeah,
better.
I also believe that. I think I could draw a better circle on
I
it.
think I
You know
could
what?
have a better circle than that.
Like,
So I think it's some of me.
I think
You
an
make fun
animal
of
with
us
no
all the
thumbs
time.
could draw a circle better.
Like dog's paws.
Yeah.
Draw those.
I'd like you to solve this without doing it then. Exactly.
I think we could do that quickly.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know about that.
I'm pretty sure about that.
It's possible they could do it.
Yeah.
Can you move off from that?
you're just.
Not my shape, but okay.
But what is that?
Can I draw it?
That's a whole egg.
So, we have this picture. Kylie J's not allowed to comment if she doesn't have her book open doing this work with us right now. We had this,
You're not gonna.
is he commenting?
And he has a book.
Is he commenting? Is he saying anything? You can't
Yeah, he's not making
complain,
fun of me. I
At least
just-
I'm awake.
Unlike you.
you can't complain
second year.
unless you're participating.
At least I'm awake.
You can't complain unless you're participating. First of all, look at the directions. They tell us that we have two circles. What two circles are they?
Circle F, circle G.
Circle F, circle G, everybody agree with that?
Yes.
So that tells us that F is a center point and G is the center point. So F is the center point of this circle. G is the center point of that circle. Everybody sees that. So from G to C is a what for this circle on the right?
Radius?
It's a radius. And from C to B is what for that circle on the right?
Diameter?
A diameter. Name me a radius in this circle on the left.
AF?
AF, and what's a diameter in that circle?
AG?
A to G. Hard to look at this way, isn't it? This is what I would do on a problem like this. I would draw myself a segment. A is the one endpoint, C is the other endpoint. And then in here, I would put these other letters. So you got B, you got F, and you have G. Now look back at the directions. What did they tell us about the circles? Other than F and G were the center points, what else did they tell us?
They're 5 and 6 units.
So the radius of this first one is, and when it says respectively, that means go in the same order that the circles go in. So the radius of this first one is, did it say radius or diameter?
Diameter.
Diameter, my fault. So the diameter of the first circle is how much?
5.
5. The diameter of the second circle?
6.
So tell me a segment in this picture that is 5 units long.
AG?
So I'm gonna mark that. Tell me a segment in this picture that's 6 units long.
BC.
Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
So that's a diameter in that bigger circle, right? Give me a radius again for the circle on the left.
2.5. AB.
AB. So we know that segment AB right here is how long?
2.5.
2.5. Let's write that in. What's another radius for that circle?
BG.
BG. How long is it then?
2.5.
And it gets sort of hard to mark this, but can everybody see that that's 2.5 there?
Yes.
From there to there? Give me a radius for the circle on the right.
CG.
CG, everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
How long is it then?
3.
Let's put 3 on there. Give me another radius for that circle.
BG.
BG. I thought BG was a radius to the other circle.
It is.
No, it's FG.
Yeah, wait, no. It'd be BG.
BG is a radius for the circle over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for the smaller circles, FG.
It's FG.
Yeah.
So FG is supposed to be how much? 2.5. And then BG is how much?
3.
So let's change that. Now, what did they ask us for in problem 23?
BF.
So we want the length of segment BN. B to F. That's this segment right here. The way we've got our pictures drawn here,
Half an inch.
they're- how'd you get a half?
Cut.
3 minus 2.5.
Yeah.
From here to here is how long?
3.
3. From here to there is how long? 2.5. So all we do is take 3 minus 2.5, which is what?
1/2.
1/2. So that's answer 23. What 24 asked you for?
AB.
AB?
Yeah.
So that's from here to there. How long is that segment?
2.5.
2.5.
I don't think is it? Because wouldn't the radius for
AB or AF
is
2.5.
Oh, so from A to F is 2.5.
Yeah.
So it's just 2.
So it's just 2. Because we take off that 1/2 inch that we just found for the other one, right? Now again, if you're looking at this picture, and in your book, the picture's so small that it's hard to draw on. If you don't draw the picture correctly, very hard to look at, isn't it? So separate it off and look at just the segment, and it might make it a little easier on yourself. Look at problem 27. 27. Somebody help me out. Tell me what they tell us on 27.
D equals 8.5 inches. Radius equals question mark, and C equals question mark.
So they want us to find the radius and the circumference, right? Let's do circumference first. What did you just tell me the formula for circumference was?
Well, the diameter times pi.
Diameter this time is what?
8.5.
8.5. Is it all right if I change that to 8.5?
Yes.
What did the directions say?
The
Find the,
radius, diameter, or circumference of a circle is given. Find each missing measure to the nearest hundred.
so they want us to go out 2 decimal places again, right? So we're gonna take 8.5 times pi. Somebody grab their calculator. Because they said go out to the nearest hundred, so we're gonna not leave it in terms of pi.
26.70.
And our units are inches. That's one of our answers. How are we gonna find the radius?
You divide that in half.
Just take half the diameter. And I really wouldn't need a calculator for this, but what's half of 8? What's half of a half?
2.5.
Point.
1/4.
1/4 or 0.25, either way, I would accept that answer. Those are your two answers. What if they've given you the radius? What would you do to find the diameter?
Times it by 2.
Times it by 2, and then to find the circumference, you just take diameter times pi. Don't make any of those harder than they are. They're all fairly easy. Look at problem 36. Problem 36. What do they give us on 36?
What's that triangle? All right,
So I got the center point. Tell me how to draw it. Where's the hypotenuse to the right triangle?
It's
This way?
Yeah.
Goes across it this way? And then, where's the rest of the triangle?
Straight down. On right there. Straight
Down to here and over to there?
down. Yeah.
The forms are right.
And we should know from the rules that we've had, if you have this point and this point, and it's the endpoints of the diameter, what's this angle have to be?
90.
Has to be a right angle, has to be 90 degrees. What else do they tell us?
That's 8.
The bottom is what?
6.
6.
The side's 8.
This side over here is 8,
Yeah.
and we don't know the hypotenuse. But if we have a right triangle there, this side's 8 and this side's 6, can we find this side?
Yes.
Yeah, a couple different ways we could do it.
You do sine. You do.
This is, I told you guys the last time that you guys keep skipping this. Instead of, you always want to jump to SOHCAHTOA instead of using what? Pythagorean theorem. If you're just, you know two of the sides and you're missing the third side, just use Pythagorean theorem. Makes it easier. Remember, A and B are the legs, C has to be the hypotenuse. Which one don't we know this time?
The hypotenuse.
So that's gonna just stay C squared. What's A then?
6 squared plus 8 squared.
Ignore that straight mark going up through there. Now, nobody said anything yet. We could do it this way. There's one other way we could do it. Does this fit one of the Pythagorean triples that we talked about a while back? Fits the 3, 4, 5, doesn't it? What do you have to do to 3 to get it to 6?
Multiply by 2.
What do you have to do to 4 to get it to 8?
2.
So what are you gonna do to 5 to get this side?
Big 10.
So how long is C over there? Now C to the circle is the what?
The diameter.
That's the diameter, isn't it? How long is that diameter? How long is that diameter?
10.
10, did they give us any units?
Centimeters.
Centimeters? So the diameter is 10 centimeters. I guess I should have read the directions. What'd they ask us to find on this one?
The exact circumference.
Oh, they want the circumference using pi, don't they? Just in terms of pi. So it's diameter times pi. Well, do we now know the diameter?
Yes.
What is it?
Okay.
So circumference, we just put 10 in place of D right there. Now, what'd they say? Did they want us to change it to a decimal?
No, in terms of power.
So we're just gonna leave it that way this time. We're not gonna grab our calculator. We're just gonna say 10 pi centimeters. So how far is it around this circle?
10 pi.
10 pi. If for whatever reason, in a little while, we wanted to change it to a decimal form, then we could do that, but for now, we just leave it 10 pi. And all those there at the, on the last part, that's all you do. Think you can handle all that? The ones on the very first part of it, 1 through 15 or whatever, those are pretty easy. Get started on it, you got about 25 minutes. You should be able to get it done while you're in here. Even though it's a long assignment, it's not very difficult. If you have any questions, I'll help you out. first one hard Clifton. Adam, I know you seen me sit down, just want to see me get back up.
I didn't see you sit down.
It's just a segment symbol. That, yeah.
And then, what's that?
Radii means plural, so they want you to name more than one radii. So how many? And there's like 4 of them, so name one of them. And they're all segments also. So like segment AO, I think is one, isn't it? Segment BO, segment CO, segment DO, segment QP. Not that one? Okay.
Because all the instructions I can work out what makes sense.
So, draw this, just the segment, put the letters on there. Do you have a question, Mike? Yeah, they use the symbol, remember the circle, dot in the middle, then make sure you're using your symbols on all these, like segment symbols and stuff, for the radii and the diameter. And any chords, those are all segments. Alright, so now what did they tell us? Look, circle L and circle M, is that what they said? So those are the center points, right? So then they tell us diameters. So the diameter of diameter of one of them is QR. No, that's not right. Gotta see the directions. Oh, alright, I see 20 inches. And then they tell us QR is 4, right? So you see where QR is? They tell us. Can't see anything. So from L to M is how far? 20. And then Q to R, or let's do Q to M. Q to M is how far? 13. What's that be for that far? Alright, so let's write that in there. Put it on the picture too, so in case we need it. And from L to M is 20. And from Q to M is how far? From L to R is how far? Or is that L? Is that L to R or L to M? L to R? Alright, so what's that leave us for M to R? Let's see. Oh, you don't think that can be 7? Okay, so L to R is 20. again, what I've been saying all year long, go by the numbers, right? Don't go by. You're not put off on board, but don't go by what the drawing looks like, right?
Is there a diameter or something? Or is it
It's just a segment symbol. Any segment's just a segment symbol. Did you erase it for? So for? Yeah, so that's simple. And number two says. Name a radius, so radius is gonna be a segment, right? When they say radii, that's the plural. That's the plural, so that in other words, they want more than one. AO is one. But you don't use a circle symbol. Use a segment symbol, because it's a segment. It's not a line, it's a segment. No, okay, I thought you were putting arrows on it. And what's another one? Write that one down. What's another?
Number 15.
Another?
I'm on the bottom.
13.
Somebody help me out, what's a chord?
One.
No, it doesn't.
That's the second right from one edge of the circle, but it doesn't go through the middle.
It could go through the middle, but it doesn't have to. So that's one, put your segment symbol above it. It's still a segment, right? That's another. So A. So E. That's a radius. It's gotta go from point on the circle. Yeah. Point on the circle to another point on the circle. That's it. All the chords that you have in that picture. How you coming, Tyler? You lying to me? There's a bunch laying up here.
Like what?
It's on the shelf up there somewhere.
Do you have one?
Get that second part done yet. Did you get the second part done yet?
What's the date?
Yeah. Tell me when. Thought it was 7:44. Yeah.
I don't know if
It
it
would
was.
take
can check it. Yeah. So, circle, this is the name of the circle. And radii, just look at the picture, name the radii for me. These ones. So if they told you that AP was 5, what would you know about CP? Next one, name the chords. Name the chords in the picture. And then the next one, name a diameter of the circle.
I said APB.
Just name it, all you gotta do is use 2 letters.
Yes, right. Or AP.
Because you don't wanna stop at P, right? You wanna go from A to a segment. A segment, you always use how many letters to name it? Segments, lines, and rays, always 2, right? Most of them forget that one.
I don't forget it, I just.
Name a radius not drawn as part of the
So
diameter.
would that just be like D? Or?
No, because that's a chord. So they're saying, that's correct. Name a radius that just wasn't this, they made a diameter. You could split it up into 2 radii, right? But this one was just, Kylie J, what's your question? I'll help you. What trying to cheat? What'd you shut your book for?
Cause that's the first one. Cause it's like the volume 1.
Oh, gotcha. I understand.
Half the scrap in here I've not even used once. So I guarantee you if I clean like half of it out, it'd be so much better.
For now, though, we're just looking for your other book. Change your name to Thelma.
As bad as it looks. I throw it over away. Why?
Do it out of my sight somewhere. I don't care, but don't do it in here.
Sorry, right.
You weren't listening when I told him it was 7.4
No,
each.
because I was doing my work.
No, 13 or something.
What? What are y'all
You can
doing?
read that?
No, I can't read nothing on that
This is
paper.
reading my handwriting.
No. You know what, I'm right, you're wrong.
I shouldn't have messed
What'd y'all get for 15?
up. Don't tell her.
Oh, my bad.
She just didn't want to read the problem.
He's a fly here too.
What'd you get?
Read the prompt, it's as easy as those last two that you just did, but you gotta read.
Oh, lost this one.
See how easy it was? All you had to do was read a sentence.
This is a Spanish one in Spain.
I don't take Spanish. See, so castles